After exploring user stories and 3 C's of the user stories and the feature in our previous episodes, today I am talking about enablers. In my recent Leading Safe class, we had quite a long conversation about enabler. And I realized that some of the participants who go for safe training may remain confused about this enabler thing. So let's talk about it in this particular episode. When we work on any product or solution, it is very unlikely that we can work on only business-centric requirement. We need to do some of the technical-centric work also, architectural work, enablement work, exploration work, something to improve our development processes. That kind of work is also needed. So when I am discussing requirement with my stakeholders, they are providing me business-centric requirement. But when I talk to my technical people, they may also give me some technology-centric, some compliance-centric, some development platform-centric requirements also. So when we are putting these ideas in our backlog, we want to differentiate them. Now somebody will say, why do we differentiate them? Because the ownership of these two items may be with the different people. The business stakeholder may not be able to evaluate, are we doing the right technical-centric work? Is it really done at a level which it gives a value? But at the same time, they want to talk about their business-centric requirement, business-centric acceptance criteria. So in a safe way of working, now let's come to the framework, we categorize these non-business-centric items which we want to work upon as an enabler. We call them enabler. Now, today I want to focus more on ART backlog and team backlog. So this enabler can be there in all the possible backlogs of Scaled Agile Framework. Now, some of you may know there is a portfolio level backlog, there is a solution level backlog and other backlogs. But for Essential Safe, primarily the execution happens at an ART level and team level. So ART level enablers are enabler features. Yeah, and team level enablers are enabler stories. Now, what is the difference between these two? Primarily the size and importance. So enabler which are put into ART level, they are big. They are evaluated at a train level. Yeah, they are visualized by the system architects. Yeah, team can definitely collaborate, but that is the ownership there. The enablers which are at a team level might be identified by the team. They will get executed at a incremental iteration level. And the enabler which are identified at a train level, ART backlog level, they will come also at a team level, and we will implement and work on those technical-centric items in an incremental manner. So we will create small enabler and put them into a team backlog. The idea of our team backlog is we want to create our work or our work items at such a small level so that we can mark the completion at the end of 2 weeks. So bigger enabler features will get divided into smaller enabler stories, and we will execute them incrementally throughout the iterations. Now, a little bit more about these enablers. So SAFE tells you that you can categorize these enablers into 4 categories. In your practical manner, you may have more than 4 categories or maybe less than 4 categories. It's all about identifying the ownership and the detailing and the way you identify is it complete or not complete. So for this conversation, I stick to the 4 categorization which SAFE is using. So SAFE is saying the enabler which is exploratory in nature. You can call it exploration enabler. Example, you may want to identify some technical challenge, some technical aspects in advance so that you can learn about it, and that learning help you in estimating that work better and creating the overall solution better. So you want to create a learning work item, yeah, where you will learn something and the learning will be used. The code you will write for learning work item may not get used that clearly. So when you do coding, you may not take a coding guidelines. You may take some shortcuts also. You may not follow a very structured approach. You may not check in that particular code in your code base, because this is something you are doing in an exploratory level. That kind of work is called explorational enabler. In many of the agile language, you also call them spike. So say my team is expected to integrate with Google Map in future. But for us, Google Map is a weird thing. We never worked on it. So we created an exploratory enabler that we want to understand how the Google Map API works at an understanding level. And as a result of it, we want to publish a various protocols or various learning which can help us in creating the code which can interact with Google Map APIs. So that's an exploratory enabler you created. Why are you doing it? Because in your future development, the Google Map is expected to get integrated. Yeah, so exploratory kind of enabler. If it's a big, it remain at a feature level. There could be a small exploration which can happen at a team level also, and that can be added directly in a team backlog as well. Second category of enablers, we call it architectural enablers. So architectural enablers are a well-created code, well-created something which makes your future work easy. It is something that you wanted to create a foundational code base which can be used in many features later. So let's continue with the Google Map example. You can say, I want to create some set of APIs or some set of libraries which can help me in reading the element from the Google Map or writing an element on the Google Map. So you want to create read API or read library and write a library. Now these read and write library, we want to create it as a one common code, and they can be used at multiple places later on. Yeah, we will have a better understanding and they can get used, and they will create a foundational architectural understanding for our work. So we will call it as a architectural enablers. So architectural enablers is those kind of enablers which help us in exploring some kind of technical challenges and helping us in creating the technical reusable code in advance. And in future, when the features comes in, they can directly use it. So yes, you want to check in that code, you want to do it properly, you will have a proper test criteria also identified for these kind of architectural enablers, and they help you in building the foundation. Yeah, SAFe uses the word architectural runway. So they help you in creating the foundation which enables your future development features at an efficient level or at a faster level. You should not be doing too advanced exploration. So it should be just in time. It is not like something is going to come after 1 year and you are doing architectural enabler right now. That may be too much because things may change and you need to do the exploration which is directly coming in the near term use, not in a very future use. So that's an architectural enabler thing. Then you can have infrastructure enablers also. So say you want to improve your continuous integration process. You want to automate some part of your testing. For that also you need to work. Yeah? The benefit will come as an improvement in your team speed, or even as simple as you may want to change the OS of your machine. All those kind of work which creates the development infrastructure better for you are called infrastructure enabler. Now, if this initiative is driven at a train level, it will go into ART backlog. If this initiative is local level, at a team level, then it will directly get into a team backlog. So it can be at an upper level or it can be at a lower level. ART level, it means it is a big item. The team level, it means it's a small item. That's why you add it directly in the team. And the ART level item will also get splitted at a team level. The fourth one is a compliance one. You may want to do some documentation. You may want to produce some artifacts which are needed for your compliance audit, need to be submitted to some authority, and you want to add that item into ART backlog or at a team backlog, and that could be an enabler. Now, I think this much is still understandable when we discuss in our class, but there are a few more challenges. Somebody will say, do we have acceptance criteria for enabler? If yes, who writes them? Do we have a definition of done for enablers? If yes, what is that? Yeah. So yes, there is a trick. Yeah. You can't have acceptance criteria at a same level as you had as a feature. You cannot have as you have a format for a feature, the same format applied for enablers also. But at the same time, as a team, you may have some understanding that explorational enabler will have these kind of checkpoints. And this is how we have to identify when we declare something complete. The architectural enabler will have some kind of acceptance criteria or completion criteria, and this is how we are going to evaluate. Each enabler is expected to have an understanding of what is the meaning of closing this enabler, what we want to get at the end of it. That expectation is needed, but it won't be as clear as feature format because enablers may vary based on the type of work you are doing. But you can have some kind of standardization for these categories of enabler. Say exploratory enabler, this is what you should do. Architectural, you do this, like compliance, this much you will do. So you can have the category wise acceptance understanding or test point understanding at a feature level. The second question, who does it, who writes it? Usually it is driven by technical people. Yeah. So at a ART level, the SAFe very clearly tells it should be done by the system architect. The challenge comes at a team level. So team level, it could be architect, it could be technical team members. The product owner should be closely engaged, but may not be not necessarily capable of creating the closing criteria, acceptance criteria for enablers. Yeah. But we expect the product owner should have a fair understanding, but there is a possibility some team members may own those enablers under the guidance of system architect. Yeah. So there will be a technical nature of enabler closing, and system architect or a team member technical people will be able to identify, have we achieved what we wanted to achieve from this particular enabler? Yeah. So it will not have your story level definition of done or a feature level definition of done, which might be there at a system demo level, but it will have its a specific way of acceptance criteria and closing the definition of done for enabler. So you will have your own deviation. The another question usually comes related to enabler. Do we put a story point for enablers? Or do we get a velocity credit for enablers? And how do we estimate enablers? Because they may not be estimatable the way we estimate story points or do a planning poker kind of thing. So from a safe perspective, they do recommend estimating the enablers, and they do recommend keeping the same unit of estimate like story points so that we know how much capacity is getting allocated to enabler kind of work. So we do need to estimate enabler in these story points. Many a time you also do time boxing of enablers. You can say that there is an exploratory enabler and it may never ending thing. So we may want to put, we will do it for 2 days, we will do it for 3 days. So if you are doing some time boxing, then also you need to put some equated story point for those enablers. And since enablers are also expected to have acceptance criteria or closing criteria, they are also once they meet their completion criteria as driven by the technical team, they also get counted in your velocity or a completion of that particular sprint velocity. So it's counted in your velocity as well, the story point associated with the enablers. Yeah, so that's another tricky thing we need to keep in mind, that yes, we do estimate them in the story point and we do mark their completion as a part of our velocity calculation. The another tricky point from a safe perspective, when you do your iteration review, yeah, when your iteration is finishing, you need to demonstrate enabler also, because we are estimating them, we are counting their story points in a velocity. Iteration review will talk about the normal user stories as well as enabler stories. So team will demonstrate enablers as per their acceptance criteria, and they will declare this is done or not done in the iteration review. So I think these are some of the different way of handling the technical requirement, or what I would say, or a technical kind of work, or an enabler kind of work, if I keep using that particular language, in a safe way of working. If you have any follow-up query related to this topic, do drop your comment in our comment section. If you are liking our safe series, do subscribe us, hit the bell button so you come to know about our upcoming videos. And we plan to do these kind of episode on a regular interval.